late and hot. And you know what the beautiful thing about this, even though we're late and hot, Matt, is people will be able to enjoy this for the entire weekend.
Yeah, they can retweet it now as they're watching it.
Yeah, please retweet.
Because the shadow ban is a real deal. Shadow banning. Whatever the algo says.
I mean, I thought for a second it was my breath. Was it my breath? I know I have a face for radio, but I don't know. Hold on. I'm still working on. Yeah, I can't even spell. I got a lot of issues. You know what Lou Reed used to say, Matt?
What's that?
Somebody asked Lou Reed if he was political, and Lou Reed said, "You got an issue? Give me a tissue. I'll wipe my ass with it."
Lovely.
And I got to tell you, I'm so sick of the politics. But, every once in a while, Twitter delivers, Matt. And this was my favorite thing of the Biden, no good with the crossover. Steph Curry just plants him into the staircase. And
then Draymond did it the second time, and then who schooled him the third time? Because he fell 3 times going up that flight.
Exactly. Well, I think that was just Steph with the back and forth. He stumbled, and then the full crossover,
and then the back step drop for 3.
Exactly. I got to tell you, I'm not sure there's been a player since my GOAT, Bob Gibson. I'm just fresh off of my mindset. I don't think there's a player that has changed the sport more since Bob Gibson than Steph Curry and his ability to shoot the 3 and his perfection of it and him showing people. I mean, how about you see it all the time now. There's guys that are shooting almost as good from the three-point line as they are from the fucking free throw line.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's I guess as humans grow in their ability athletically, right? It's always, I guess this is how it is. Like what used to be, a men's 3-pointer in college is not even the women's line anymore, right? So the women are way back there too. Like I think their 3-point line is even beyond the top of the key. Again, smaller ball, but you still got to chuck that thing. I don't know about you, but it's not easy for me.
Dude, I got to tell you, the pro 3-point line, I have to do a 50 set shot. Like, I'm playing for the Loyola Ramblers back in the day when they won it all, 63.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, incredible. Steph Curry, I mean, seriously, hats off to Steph Curry because he for sure was the one that first perfected it and dominated it and said, you know what? I'm going to shoot 1,000 a day until I'm just bulletproof from this 3-point line. And he's changed the game because it's so 3-point centric now.
It is.
All right, listen up.
You got to be a big man. And hey, the tournament is going. We had the 4 play-in games yesterday. And they were all pretty good. I saw your team, Drake, came back from a 20-point deficit to win.
About my Iowa boys.
Which was their first ever tournament victory, by the way. So congratulations to Drake. Not the singer, the college.
Let me get Drake on the basketball court. Let me cross that motherfucker up. All right, listen, this another one. Let's stick on some politics just for a while because it's so refreshing to talk about. The Biden administration removes dozens of staffers from White House who admit to using cannabis in states where it's legal, despite this is the key word, despite telling them they would not be punished. You know what? I think that's why Joe fell. He hit a good blunt, on the way over to Air Force One. And
the great thing about that article, if you were to show like 2 or 3, there's a subtitle under that title. It also says, despite Obama admitting in his memoir,
he might have done some blow
and did some blow and did blow. I'm like,
I might have done some blow. I can run for president too because I might have for sure probably done some blow sometime in my life too. Install number 3 on the lower trading floor. Anyway, I don't know. The age of
here's
the thing, Matt. In the age of ambiguity, there's nothing ambiguous about this. This is a cocksucker move. It's unbelievable.
But the other two that came out yesterday were the plant in Ohio shutting and moving 900 jobs immediately to Mexico, which, again,
when Mexico fully legalizes weed, they might move that plant back.
Anyways, and then the second one was, hey, we're not going to tax you anymore if you make under 400,000. Oh, whoa, we're going to move it down to 200.
Yeah,
we won't do that.
Know where that's going. It's
it's
trending lower.
Yesterday.
It's trending lower.
Yesterday. Yeah, it's going to be 70 by tomorrow.
Going to be 50 grand.
Exactly. Sorry, we
right,
need
Matt.
money.
Oh,
and then the other thing that came out is the Treasury only has $1 trillion left in their checking account.
Yeah, I saw that too, but it doesn't matter. There's no bottom to that. They just reload. It's like when you go to the fair in the summer and your buddy's working the ticket booth.
Right.
It just, they just keep going out the back flap. Beer tickets for everybody. Matt, I saw this one too. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, obviously a no bullshit military guy, which I respect. U.S. forces ready to fight tonight. Talking about North Korea, I thought Trump played North Korea incredibly well. I said to you earlier, I think it's like the movie Stripes. Lighten up, Francis. just lighten up.
The Aunt Jemima treatment. The Aunt Jemima treatment. Oh, we can't even say Aunt Jemima treatment anymore. Probably that movie's probably banned.
The Aunt Jemima treatment. How hot was that girl, by the way?
Oh, she was hot.
Ridiculous. Man, so let's just keep on the thread here of the age of ambiguity and irony, because I thought this was incredible. And I got a couple graphics, man. We're going full scale graphics here today. This from the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. It reiterates its warning. And by the way, this warning was also in the Trump administration. So it just shows me that the deep state and politicking is very deep and long-lived. But it says anybody involved in the Nord Stream 2 pipeline risked U.S. sanctions and should immediately abandon work on the pipeline. Pipelines are bad. Global warming is bad. Pipelines cause global warming. So we need to get rid of them all. Apparently that's not what's going on here. But I just want look, because we got the ability. It starts in. I could never do the weather.
You need practice with the green screen.
It's over. It's deep over here. Bingo.
There
Starts over here, comes up all the way down that seaway on the bottom, and it ends up down here from Russia to
down
Germany. There. And is it like Germany part of it? Like they're our ally, and they say they don't want this because it's going to just destabilize Europe. Meanwhile, the Germans are like, you know what? We killed all our nuclear. Wind and solar is really sticking it right in our can, and we need natural gas. Let's go, baby. Bring us the gas. I don't know, man. Age of ambiguity. It's like whose pockets are being filled, and that's what the underlying. Follow the money as you always have to.
Right.
But how can they say it's going to destabilize Europe when Germany is the one saying, "Come on, bring it in"?
See, and again, Bob, I mean, just common sense. Like, it doesn't. We're not trying to be some brilliant political strategic advisors here. But for God's sake, you had the thing from Canada in a safe place in the U.S. back to the U.S. with the population that it's going to serve. Why the heck would you stop it? Like, it makes and then move it underwater.
Well, here's what I think.
Then move it underwater to the Caspian Sea, where you have all these people don't like each other. That's the disruption.
For me, the bigger point is, they want to talk about climate change and the pushback on that, and that was the reason Biden gave, like, we're going post fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. Maybe we are. Maybe in 50 years.
As he trips on the red carpet 3 times to get on his jet-fueled fucking 777. Come on, give me a break.
And not only that, as we send troops to protect oil fields in Syria, the whole thing's a charade. But
it's a sham charade. Sham charade.
it shows up in prices, right? It shows up in prices. For sure, this is not good for U.S. natural gas exports, right?
Right.
And so that's something maybe we should look at. Obviously, it's nothing impending right now because this pipeline is not done. But anyway, it's on my radar. It's on my bullshit radar on a Friday. Anyway, I diverge. And then, so let's talk a little price discovery though before I do the last one, because it ties in with Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about is one of your favorites is Apple. And it's interesting that we had a little rally today, Bob, or not today, but this week. Early in the week, we traded the high of 127.50-ish and reversed right back. And again, you and I were talking about this morning. This market feels heavy. They got new shorts trapped in the hole again this morning, which happens pretty much every day. You're either, the opening 30, 40 minutes is your high or low of the day. And that happened perfectly today. And, we've just been marching back quietly. And I think we'll get the typical Sunday gap and Monday back to the area where you want to sell again. But it's interesting that Apple literally can't get off the map. This is basically a month where we're now back below the point of control, pretty bearish looking here. And if we fractal out a little bit, again, this was even higher. It traded up near 150, and this is a multi-month. This is going back to August, so about a 6-month chart here, Bob. And again, this 115 area, which we tested on that push down in the overall markets, looks like we got to test that again, and that's coming in. That 115 is probably going to be a big battle line. This whole area has been a battle line really for the last month. And so we started with the month, but what's interesting is there's price levels above us that they were battling, right? It was basically that 130 to 145. And now we're in the 115 to 130. These 15-point brackets are kind of playing out here, and they're trapping more and more people on every level. You got trapped longs above, and you got a lot of people that could be trapped in this level. So that tends to lead, again, these trapped traders on the long side are not going to be happy as this thing goes lower. And as we've talked about, and you can see when this thing breaks that 113 level, it's going to go to 100. Like it will go to 100. So remember these numbers, not for today, but when 115 is no longer, when we're closing below 115, look for 100. And along with that, I was looking at everybody's favorite darling ETF, which is ARK, the Herald Angels sing.
La 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 la.
Right, but this thing, is the technology ETF du jour, and again, it's rallied back, which we talked about this. When the markets broke, look for a rally to sell, and it came right into this 130 area, and now it's back to 120, 122. It got into the teens yesterday, today even. It's up a little bit, but these names look heavy. I mean, look at all those people trapped again. It's the same story. And this is why we continue to say, like, you see so many similarities. Obviously, Apple's a big component in this ETF. I mean, that's why it mirrors Apple. And so the prices.
Let's bring up, because I watched Portnoy this morning on his little trader spiel, and he's in Chicago, and they're killing it with the Penn gaming app in Illinois. And he's talking about Penn is on sale. And then he's going, I'm not a trading advisor, so I can't tell you to buy it. I'm just telling you. And then he said, I haven't sold a single share. Now, I don't, the guy, he doesn't have to tell me the truth, or you're the truth, or the public the truth. It doesn't really matter to me. But I got to tell you, when I'm looking at that weekly chart, I'm like, and I tried tweeting it to him yesterday. Like I tried to put it in baseball terminology. I'm like, your stock just hit 700 for months. Like it's not going to hit 700 forever. And if it reverses and reverts to a mean or to a point of control, there's just giant risk in this chart.
Yeah, it's great that he maybe he got it gifted to him. I don't remember when the transaction took place, but yeah, it's great that it went from 4 to 140. But to your point, it's not going to go, 4 to 140 is almost 50x, and it's 40. Let's call it 40x. It's not quite 40x, but it's not going to. I mean, you see this kind of this trending, bracket that I've drawn in here. We've broken out both ends twice. And again, your point of control is $32. What is Davey going to think when the thing is trading $32? He won't understand it. He won't understand how momentum works to the downside, just like it works to the upside.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just numbers. And me and you both, we say it ad nauseum, basically. Like, it doesn't matter if that's potato chips, tulip bulbs, Maseratis, Penn Gaming. It doesn't matter. It could be the greatest thing on earth. It's the price discovery that matters. Price is the only thing that matters. And when it starts hiccuping, right, and it starts losing momentum, and it starts not being able to hold these value ranges or these value areas, you got to look out, man. And it's look out.
And really, I'm going to put this out there for Davey. I'll gladly sell his stock today at 118, and I'll buy it back at 75, and I will sell it from 118 to 140 if I have to. So that's $22, which is, a little bit more than a 10% wide range that I'm willing to sell into. And we will trade back to this high that we finally broke out of, which is 75. This is the next key level, and that's not even a big level. The big level is still down here below $40. So again,
I guess that's the point that we constantly try to talk about here is risk and reward, right? You don't want that to be upside down. We used to say on the floor, Matt, eat like a bird, shit like an elephant. You don't want to be that type of trader. And he actually said, and I got another one for you. He actually said, buy the dip, like there's places to buy. And I'm like, yeah, there are places to buy for sure. But it's not right here for me, So
it worked. It worked today, but it just came to the point in the hole where it should work. And it's probably not going to get over 126 today for sure, as we got 10 minutes left. But it's just sitting in balance. So all it did is blow through balance again, come back to it. Now it's going to, I think it's going to do one of these downward. Boom. So,
and to that point, I got to find this because, there's the bear. That's great. I love the bear. The guy on the phone just talking to the bear. And the bear tries to eat him. It was with Kramer, and he was talking about last week. He was like, everything's on sale, right? This week he was like, you got to be patient. Honest to God, I need to find the tweet because that's exactly what he said.
How about this one? Remember,
you don't need to be. And that's the new. Last week everything's on sale. This week is like, well, so which sale do we want to wait for? The fire sale, the going out of business sale? You actually want the going out of business sale that they find a way out of bankruptcy. That's where the best place to buy it.
So Dave & Buster's, which, was big in the 90s, and I guess these places still exist where you take your friends and family and your corporate events and go play video games and pool and ping pong, right? And eat really bad food and pay too much for it. But I just had to bring this up because this thing, was close to death in March a year ago, and it's gone 10x again. So we love the 10x game. It's gone from $4 to 48. So it's 12x. But who's keeping track? But again, what can go wrong here? It's priced pretty much for perfection. Maybe they'll merge with Penn Gaming, and Penn Gaming will be, it'll become like the place where you can place your bets. I don't know. Maybe there's a merger there that can come together, and you can find some consolidation of things going on. It's interesting. And again, basketball, the tournament, the biggest betting days of the year are here today, tomorrow, and then they just go downhill from here. Again, football's over. It doesn't begin again until August
and he was mentioning the Penn somehow. I don't know if they got put into an index or something. So a bunch of fund managers are going to need to add it to their portfolio. So it could get a bump. That's fine.
Yeah, maybe it went into the Russell 2K.
I'm not sure what it was. And that's all fine and good, but you still got to pay attention to the chart. So, man, let me share it and let me talk those two things. First of all, though, because I like Jim Cramer. I know he don't like you, but here it is. Patience. The tweet was, when can we start buying tech, Jim? or wait for CPI data to come out next month. Patience. Remember the December 15th to February 6th, 16 breakdown. That's like this one. CRM 80 to 50, almost overnight, then to the moon, but we need to see the whites of their bleeding eyeballs. That's great, except last week you said everything's on sale. You got to jump in and buy. I mean, so which is it? And that's what I said. I mean, and I actually said, how short are you? Last week, things were on sale. Seems like now we should wait for the fire sale, asking for several friends because we need to know.
Yeah, I don't see those tweets.
Expired. All right, first of all, let me just talk a little spoof price action. Again, defending this momentum level just valiantly. Like every week we open below it or get below it. We cannot get two closes without in a red candle for the life of the shorts. 38.93 is the level today. Maybe they could crap them out in 5 minutes. 15 handles. I don't know.
Yeah, they're off the high. But it looks like it's gonna close above 3,900. Pin the tail. Expert quad witching, by the way. So this
right
for some.
But this is pen, right? And so just a terrible weekly candle. I don't give a shit what this is. If this is potatoes, if this is my IQ, it doesn't matter what it is. A giant candle closing, new highs and then closing out of up momentum on the weekly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, closing below the last 6 weeks closes, basically. So it's not good.
It is not good. And then, the other thing I don't like on the nuance here is the rounding, Matt. The rounding of the standard deviation lines. They better dig in next week early and recapture that like 120 level and get back above this average, or, it's going to be a sliding, escalator just as it escalated up. That's what I'm saying.
Again, you get me that 125 level. I'm selling it all day as Mr. Portnoy buys at that higher price. I'll sell to him. So happy to.
All right, man. Let's as we round out our weekend show, let's talk cash. Let me just tell you something. Cash plays. Cash is king.
Dollar is king still.
Remember Kelly's Heroes, the movie, Matt?
Yeah, great movie.
And what's his name? Don Rickles says to Clint Eastwood, go talk to him. Maybe he's a Republican, because there's so much gold in the bank that, we're not slobs here. We can split up the gold or the cash. But anyway, supposedly Powell, central bank digital currency, needs to coexist with cash. Matt, I'm a cynic. And when I read that, the first thing I thought was, well, of course it does. How the fuck are we going to pay everybody off if it's in a blockchain digitized currency that's trackable? Like you can't send arms to Bolivia, right? Next time I say, let's go someplace like Bolivia, let's go someplace like, speaking of cash, right? Another fine movie about cash, Butch Cassidy and that Sundance Kid.
Wow, you're digging deep.
Dude, I'm firing. I'm firing today. I'm a little loopy. I don't feel great, but the thoughts are still firing.
Robert Redford. Wow.
So we could talk a little crypto, because I remember watching an Ethereum conference several years ago, and they had the Fed governor from St. Louis, the St. Louis branch, and he was saying pretty much that the Fed doesn't care about alternate currencies. I believe me, I don't trust that right away out of his mouth. But he said in our country's history, we've had several forms of cash, and people have just decided it's easier just to own and hold U.S. dollars rather than J.P. Morgan issued currency or Chase issued currency, which they had bank notes, because they were non-fun. You didn't know exactly what one was worth against the other. You knew they were worth something, and going to the dollar simplified all of this. Back to him saying that we can coexist with digital currencies. And I don't think there's anywhere in the Constitution, Matt, we are a constitutional republic, that guarantees the federal government as being the sole issuer of cash. I might be wrong. I'm not a constitutional scholar, But I'm pretty sure that's kind of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't see it going away until it has to go away. The U.S. dollar will remain the world's reserve currency, and that's why you have to be bullish as interest rates continue creeping up. And the dollar is where where the action is still. I mean, I sent that to you also about Venezuela. You know, basically everything they've already been dollar based anyway, so announcing again that their own currency is basically debunked, so they've switched to the dollar too. So guess what, it works because it still spends, and they can convert the US dollar into groceries. A little harder with Bitcoin still, but maybe they'll get there someday.
Let's talk crypto, man. Hold on. I got technology that's ready to fire.
I mean, one Bitcoin can,
Hold on. I'm all fired up, man. I'm all fired up. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying one Bitcoin, $60,000 where it's trading today. Shit, you can buy groceries for your community for the rest of the world. So, whoa, what was that?
Right? What was that? Let's fire off that Beaksy rocket and talk crypto on Friday. Man, I haven't even looked at. I've been involved in a highly complicated mathematical situation here today, and I really haven't looked at Bitcoin. Let's just talk about this for a second. And we've talked about this before. How hard it is for a human being to concentrate on. First of all, there's no such thing as multitasking. Anybody that says that you cannot read and add at the same time. It just doesn't happen, right? So it's very difficult.
Unless it's a word problem.
Well, that's fine, but you have two things: a paragraph that you're reading and a bunch of math equations.
Hey, by the way,
only do
3,900 at 1 o'clock. What did I tell you? Pin the tail.
Bong.
Ding ding.
But not. Here's the interesting. I'm back to that. Is that that momentum level will for sure Sunday night be somewhere around that level, 3,900, maybe 02, 04. Yep. So we're setting up an opening out of the momentum level for all you momentum players on that weekly chart.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about the breakdown in crude yesterday, if you don't mind. Let me just
not at all, and we will get back to the bit.
We'll get back to the crypto, but hey, we said in the room yesterday we're going to go trade to the 50. Like you want to buy 58.50. Well, 58.15. Why did I say that? It was this level right here. It was go no go time, and again a $10 sell off pretty much happened yesterday. Not quite 10, but it was at 66. So let's call it $8 overnight. And that was a harsh sell-off, definitely oversold. It rallied yesterday late in the day from that 58 to 60.5, and then it pulled back to 59. And you can see that closely here. But again, don't be too bullish just based on today's action. Like and I'll come back to the longer term chart here, but I don't think we're going to get too much further than 62.50 to begin with. And why do I say that? And it's because again, it basically came to these levels, and now it's just bouncing back to the meat here. 62 probably. Like if you can get that Sunday, it's 61.55, wrapping up here. If you can get a move 62 to 64, which is where we broke down from, sell it again. It's got more room to the downside, and again, the longer term charts, I think we could see mid 50s, 50. This is the first level.
Yeah, man, and I agree 100%. Same type of setup as, although they did close out of their weekly momentum level, that was $62. So right. We've closed below there. The slope on that's going to give that opening on Sunday night somewhere around $63 to retest the Mo, retest that Mo level, lining up nicely with what you're talking about too. Yep. I agree. I mean, this thing's had a hell of a run. I really think it needs to pull back. Goldman said yesterday that they still are positioned for a long-term bull market here in crude. The essence to trading is like how much can you hold on? Have you bought any downside protection for the rip back or the the counter trend move. I mean, let's talk that counter trend move because there's a lot of potentiality. I mean, I got $50 is where I think it should go.
Right. So yesterday was a good day when it was trading 59.58 to sell 50 puts for sure. I mean, that's a great way to play it because you're willing to buy, you're willing to own it at that price anyway. So the premium that you sold it for is evaporated today. That was a great trade. And that's the whole idea. You don't have to trade the actual futures if you think you can go lower. You can get long via synthetic puts. You can buy calls just to get a little upside too. Those were probably super cheap yesterday versus the opposite, expensive on the puts. And, I would have bought those. I prefer to sell fat premium, especially if I like a price level. I would have sold 54s yesterday, right? And that's a good way to do it without even having to step in front of the futures. So you could have done that knowing that it's likely not going to get there in the next 2 days. And you're pushing them off today on the $2 rally. And it's $3.50 rally. It's a huge move. Again, we were down, 12%, and now we're up 5-6% from the bottom. So halfway back, just about, and you'll probably, as you said, you'll probably see that Sunday, Monday. So if you can get that move to the 63, wow, put it back on. It's again, the gift that keeps on giving. If you do your homework, you see that, and we made a new low, by the way, we cruised through all these. So we took out all these stops and they couldn't go much more. Right. So that's why we bounced. And it really there was a big buyer sitting right there and he literally stopped the market. I mean, if you go back and look at the, 5-minute chart yesterday, it stopped. Boom. Right at right at 12:30, which this market closes like 11:15 here on the West Coast. So it already been closed. They washed out, after hours and the margin calls, clerks, all that happened. And then they took them right back up, Bob. Took them right back up. And overnight, you had a nice little two-way trade going on in here, little wavy, soft. Everybody's feeling bullish today. But again, don't get sucked in that the bull is back.
I agree. I mean, I think Sunday, early next week, that $63 level, I used to call it a physical level, like Butkus filling that A gap. Physical, man. You better bring the house.
And then we were talking about natural gas, how that had gotten cheap earlier in the week at 240s. And again, if you were fortunate enough to sell puts, buy outrights, take it off the table here at the end of the week. It's giving you everything that you wanted. It's had a nice recovery. And again, with the stuff that's going on, it's trying to find a bottom. It's been going down for a while. Remember, this was 332. And this could go lower still. We talked about it. So, but this is the area right around this area that you can take stabs as long as we, really hold out above 2.25. But this thing eventually looks like it wants to trade 185 too. So understand the broader context and where the market's heading and where it's been and where it could go. And to me, this is really like, if you want an area that you really want to buy, it's down here at $1.80. Like if you want to buy something,
just like Penn Gaming at $38,
right?
A beautiful buy. All right, Matt, do Bitcoin and then I'll do Bitcoin and then we'll Bitcoin out of here.
Bitcoin back at 58. I'll call it 59,000 again, Bob. Just keeps hanging up here.
It sure does, man.
Just keeps hanging.
And I want to say.
We got the weekend rally. Maybe we'll see another new high by tomorrow. Again, we usually see a new high by Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, let me share because I got and this is the weekly, and they tried. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday, cryptos never sleep, right? They trade 365, 24/7, and so there's a lot of there's a lot of trading left Saturday and Sunday for this. But that is not a terrible candle for they've tried to take them lower and they're going to close back on the highs. Everybody that thought that the top was in that shorted it is sitting on pins and needles now because the weekly's got room out to 70,000 plus.
I mean, look at that. That's like a $7,000 range and it's opening and closing. We're at the same spot. It's just like
exactly. So, I don't know what to say other than there's still a shit ton of potential to the upside, and they haven't cracked this thing yet. All right, let's move in just a little bit.
But let me just say this. Today, again, being quad witching, all the financials, everything's kind of rolling. You had, oil was rolling over yesterday, and that was a big piece of why it sold off extraneously. But it's kind of worked itself out now because anybody that sold at the bottom now bought at the top, right? That's that little game that goes on as they're shifting is happening. So I think now that rollover is done, and the next thing we look for, I guess, is earnings to begin here, probably sometime in April, the next quarter's earnings. So that's the next thing on tap. And again, I think the Ides of March are still here, Bob. I mean, we've seen some volatile markets. The market basically opened at 3,900 to start March, and that's right where we are. So it's very similar. It's like, to talk about things lining up, all assets are one. Bitcoin opened and closed, same spot. The S&P opened this week on the start of the week at 30, or the start of March at 3903, and they're closing them where at 30. We're not quite closed here. It's 110, but I think we're at 3898. So we're red again for the month if we close right here on the S&P, right? So that's important. Like, these references as you trade become really important. And the 3903 was a gap up, by the way, from the February close. So we gapped up the first day of the month, and then we ran, we came down more, and then we ran more to the new highs. But we're not at new highs again. We're not far from them. We're only 2% from the all-time highs. 3978 is 2%, right? So we're right at 2% from the all-time highs. Not exactly big warnings, but I think 3880 go, like 3875 held. That was a low today. That goes next week. You're looking at 38.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we're toying with turning the semi around on those.
Yeah.
But let me just finish off Bitcoin here. Plenty of room on the weekly. The 3 days still in up mo here, and the band's kicking up to the top side. And the 1 day, for me, I mean, show me some fucking weakness here. They can't seem to turn these bands. We're backing up mo on the daily now. I think they run them this weekend, maybe just to 65,000. Maybe it'll get goofy someplace, but it sure doesn't look weak to me yet. And for me, you need not only to close out of up momentum, but you need to affect the bands, right? And the only way you can affect those bands is by having lower lows. And the market is still resilient. That's all I got to say about it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if this was Penn Gaming, Davey, I'd be saying, you know what, dude? I think you got another run. You got a runner here coming, but it's not. It's not Penn Gaming. Anyway,
and you better be able to run the other way pretty quickly, because as we know, $7,000 swings happen in a heartbeat and the pet rocks, right?
Listen, Matt, we all trade. We all live our lives for various reasons. For sure, if you're not enjoying the fruits of your labor, you're doing it wrong. That's all I got to say. So please enjoy the fruits of your labors. Learn from your wins and your losses. That poem that I read last week, it's just so apropos, Matt. I said I'd sing my song this week, but I don't feel like singing. I got to tell you, I don't feel great. Maybe I'll just recite it, Matt. I don't think I have the game to rip it on the guitar. It's a song I wrote, and all songs are poems, are they not, Matt?
Pretty much. Sonnets, poems, limericks.
All right, so the song's name is "We're Just Like Dogs," Matt, and it's not an uplifter.
Save it for next week.
All right, I'll save it for next week.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it anyways.
You want me to hear it? You want me to orate it like a poem?
No, I want to hear you sing it. So when you're feeling better, when you're feeling better, we'll let you play.
Listen, get out there, enjoy, and have, for God's sakes, enjoy a beverage. And we highly recommend a 10-barrel beer, or a 10-barrel cocktail, or a 10-barrel seltzer, right? 10-barrel, they're killing it. They're killing it here in Bend, Oregon, and on a store shelf near you soon.
They're gonna kill the White Claw brand, and these.
I can't wait to taste them. Listen, we done.
And if 10-barrel would like to start, storing our refrigerators with their products so we can test it on the air, and we will crack them and open them and show.
And listen, I say it all the time. You can't go on an all-day bender unless you start in the morning. That's just that's just physics and time, man. You can't change that. Like I drank all day. What time did you start? 3 PM. Well, then you didn't drink all day. I mean, come on.
Well, you got up at 2 though, so it actually was all day.
I don't know. We're talking We're talking minutia.
That's right.
All right, man. You have a great weekend. Please
Hey,
join
Bob.
us at
By the way,
marketvitals.io, not com, not org, not any of those other dots. .io.
Chief Illini through the first round easily, 30+ point win here in early Friday, first round. I saw Florida.
Sparty. Oh.
Florida won in overtime. Sparty looked like the little bro that they are. They looked like the little bitches that they are. So goodbye, Sparty. I had him going a couple rounds too. So much for Tom Izzone. He let me down. That's what you get for rooting for your little bro.
Right on. Man.
But hopefully Michigan can win a game or two, make it to next weekend without their leading scorer. I'm definitely not Dave Portnoy, Penn Stock Gaming bullish on Michigan right now. Again, as a trader, you have to be respectful to the new prices, and the new prices for Michigan is Isaiah Livers, your 16-point, 5 assists, 8-board guy, senior leader, not playing. That's hard to ride Michigan now all the way to the end, I think.
Right on. Don't shoot the messenger, Matt.
I'm not shooting it. But if he was playing,
well,
I'm all in.
I'm not talking to you moron. I'm talking to Portnoy. All right, pal. Have a great weekend.